Cannell and Kevin S. Murray, watching interviews with doctors such as Stephen Ross, along with listening to numerous podcasts with Terrence Ross McKenna. And these are all the world's leading psychologists in psychedelic studies. We need to legalize these psychedelic drugs because they have a lot of false connotations around what effect they really do have on the human body. In 1971, the Richard administration declared the war on drugs and banned drugs such as LSD and DMT and many other psychedelic drugs. The Nixon administration said that they were highly addictive and extremely dangerous. They also said that they could fry the human mind and cause insanity. But Dr. Stephen Ross said that psychedelics, Stephen Ross, an addiction psychiatrist, debunks all these myths in his Science World Festival interview, saying that they are not like any other addictive drugs. They don't meet the definition of an addictive drug, and in fact, they have anti-potent addictive potentials. He goes on to explain that psychedelics like LSD and DMT and psilocybin are something called indole alchemines, and they have the chemical compounds that look remarkably similar to the hormone serotonin, which activates the 2A receptor in the brain and is what gives them their unusual psychedelic properties. So I have a little visual. So this is the hormone serotonin, and it looks remarkably similar to psilocybin, DMT, and LSD. Serotonin is a non-addictive hormone in the human brain, and it just gives you like that happy feeling. So these drugs have like the similar compound, as you can see here, kind of has the same design, and then if you tilt it a little bit, it still has the same design as LSD. And so what does all of that mean? This means that these compounds have numerous medical benefits, such as treating mental disorders such as addiction and many others. A 2017 case study on hallucinogens conducted by Clinton E. Cannell and Kevin S. Murray concluded that classic hallucinogenics share similar pharmacologic and properties and release serotonin, which is unique among most other Schedule I drugs and is generally not addictive and have effective tools in treatment of addiction. Terrence McKenna is also one of the world's leading researchers in the study of psychedelics, and in a 2017 podcast, he said that in the sense of psychedelics are almost the answer to drug addiction and the drug problem, and with early uses of psychedelics, they have had a spectacular growth with alcoholism. So even these drugs can help you battle your addictions of alcoholism and even other different types of drugs. So imagine how many people this could help if we did legalize these types of drugs and if doctors could prescribe them to the people who needed them. If we do legalize these drugs, it could also help with other mental disabilities. A great example of someone who benefited from these types of drugs, both medically and mentally, is Octavian Mihai, who was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 3 and was only given 3 months to live. 8 out of 10 lymphomic patients end up living, but he was so concerned about being one of the 2 that didn't. Thankfully, his chemotherapy ended up being a success, and he was cancer-free, but he had so much anxiety and stress about his cancer coming back and dying that his doctors asked him to be part of a unique experimental study. This experimental study took cancer patients who had an extreme anxiety or worry about death and took them to a psychiatrist who would in turn give them psychedelic drugs to help them diminish their anxieties about death. During his trip, Octavian said that he saw this black smoke exit his body and he felt so at peace with the world and euphoric about the future, and all of his anxiety about death went away. So think about how many people that this could help. People like Octavian and people who battle with drug and alcohol addiction, this could have very high benefits for them. So now, when you guys go home, I want you guys to be more aware of the great psychedelic properties, and if you guys have the opportunity to vote to legalize these psychedelic drugs, vote for legalizing them.